Hey everyone, John here from Brewers, and I'm back with another beer from my cellar. Today we are going to San Diego, California to Iron Fist Brewing Company, and we are drinking Rubus Vigoratus. This is a stout made with raspberries and cardamom, and it was originally brewed for Holiday Wine Cellar's 47th anniversary, and it was so good that they decided to brew it as a standard line of beer. I'm not sure how many times they've brewed it since, but I have a bottle when they actually came out with a bottle with this bottle art on it, and it was really good. I decided to buy multiples to see how they hold up over time. This tends to be a really spicy beer as far as Far East spices go. It's a little over the top, but I liked it. Some people didn't really care for it. It's 8% alcohol, and it was actually a homebrew recipe by Chuck McLaughlin. He won a homebrew competition and they brewed the beer. So let's open it and see what it is like. Okay, so right off the bat, we've got some big fluffy head on that thing. I mean, that is some fluffy head. It's nice and kind of a caramel tan head, kind of head I like to see on a stout. I like stouts with darker heads. A lot of those spices are still there. Man, just big cardamom. The raspberry is still pretty big in it. You do get kind of a smoky-ish kind of thing from the roasted malts in this. Kind of a tart lactic thing, and I don't think that's because it's infected. I think that's just part of the spices and how they're translating in the beer. It just smells great. It smells like a dessert stout, but it doesn't smell really sweet and over the top. It's just kind of spicy and interesting smelling. It kind of wakes you up. So it's still smelling pretty great. Let's taste it and see what it's like. What's this? I just noticed that was happening. That's usually not a good sign when it's bubbling over like that. 9 times out of 10, it's a sign of infection. So I'm gonna clean that up. It didn't taste infected, but I'm gonna clean this up real quick and I'll be back. And we're back. So I did notice on the bottle after I cleaned everything up that this is bottle conditioned. So that's probably why it was bubbling over. It's just slightly over primed. So back to what it tastes like. Let's take another sip. First off, even though this looks like it had a lot of carbonation, the carbonation's nice. It's got just enough prickliness to it to kind of clear everything out once everything finishes up on your palate. First thing I got was the mouthfeel. It's a nice soft mouthfeel. It's got some zing to it as far as like fruit sweetness goes. The raspberries are still there, surprisingly enough. Not a lot of bitterness on the roast malts, but those spices that are in the beer, the cardamom and whatever else they add to the beer, I don't know if they add anything else, if that's just the cardamom that's doing all that. It's mellowed out a lot. It's actually keeps everything pretty even keel at this point. It's not over the top. It works very, very well with this beer, with the recipe that they use to make this stout. In my opinion, it's still tasting really great. Little hints of vanilla, little hints of chocolate, like raspberry chocolate. This is such a good beer. I love it so much, and it's still going. It's not going to stop. I'm going to pop that bubble. There we go. But even though this is happening with the bottle, it's not infected. It's tasting great. A little over primed, but you know that happens. So far this is a win. I think I've had it for maybe a year, and this thing is starting to bother me, so I'm just gonna cut it off there. So if you see this bottle, pick it up. It's worth buying. I think it's doing great, and that's one less beer in my cellar.